have this for anybody who can't join. Hi guys, so I was just talking with the ladies who are on the line already. I'm Nicole. This is Download. This is our weekly training call with Hilo. This call is always going to be dictated by what the people who dial in want. So I'll have something prepared. Today I have something prepared if we have time, but we'll see how many questions we get. So I'm going to open the floor up to you guys that are on the line. Is there anything that you guys wanted to cover? You don't have to have a specific question. You can say, I'm just having an issue with this page, or I was wondering how to, if there's a specific workflow that you want to go through. I'm here to answer those questions for you and walk you through. And if nobody has questions, then I'll jump into, the area that I plan to highlight today. So does anyone have an area that they wanted to see kind of demoed, or they've hit a brick wall and you want to see how I got through it?
To be honest, I haven't even hardly looked. I mean, I've started to get into it and then I got busy and I haven't really looked into it too much more. So
it happens all the time. No worries. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm just getting started with it. I've gone through the email tutorials that you've initiated, which have been great, and now it's really included in my daily activity.
Sorry, what was that?
I just need to include it into my daily routine.
Gotcha.
So that's what I'm working on now.
That is a constant project, right? Just trying to work it in and always make sure that there's time for it, and for putting that structure around your day to be working on this and working your business out of a system like this. Mm-hmm. How about you, Gina? Where are you in your Hilo journey? Have you been doing this for long? Have you just signed up?
I've already sent out one newsletter with it, and in the beginning I was having a hard time with contacts. I had switched them over from another company, and I think you actually helped me because they were encoded.
I'm so sorry. I get that there's a lot.
I know, I'm sure. So I've done one newsletter, but I really haven't used it, all the capabilities and stuff. So I just found out about this training just now and thought I'd hop on and just see what everybody's asking and what I need, what I'm missing.
Sure. So let me ask you, so it sounds like everybody's kind of just getting started with Hilo. You're all fairly new to it. Maybe you've played around a little bit, but not seasoned where you're like, no, I've been through all the basics and now I need to know more advanced things. And that's good. That's good for me to know. So I know not to, dig into really advanced features with a group that's kind of just getting their feet wet. So let me ask you this. Talk to me a little bit about how you guys plan to use this. Are you using it mostly for prospecting, or are you using it for client retention, or both?
Mostly client retention and, just current client stuff.
Okay.
Communications and follow-up.
Yeah.
That's my main driver for using it, rather than my team building. Okay. So, just to be honest.
Yeah, sure. No, that's valid. Okay. Well then,
for others are using it for other things. So,
I mean, I think that one of the things that we, what I always try to stress, just for best practices for business overall, that you should always be focused on, filling your funnel so that you have people to follow up with. And because as many customers as you may have today, trust me, I do this too. Like I'm always trying to, you have to keep your customers, but then you also have to have new people coming in. You're going to see that pipeline dry up, and nobody wants that. That's kind of a panic moment. So, so prospecting is is absolutely something that Hilo can handle for you, and is a good tool for that. But it's also great for client retention. And you just really, I think the only difference is that you're still treating clients somewhat like prospects until they join you as a team member, probably. You know, that they're considering them in your pipeline and in your funnel until you get them to that second yes, which is, you know, hey, you know what, why don't you sell the product, and you love it so much, why don't you earn commissions off the product that you love? So I think where we're going to start, I think where we'll start, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. So this is the goal tracker page. Now, this is, we'll get to this in a second. I'm going to jump over to our contact management screen, so the contact list page. This is your typical database view, but this is a good view for everybody to get used to and start playing around with. And this is where you can kind of have a little bit of fun figuring out how you're going to reach out to people. So I know that company like Beauty Counter, you're always reaching out to people to get them to reorder and working with them that way. So it's important that you categorize your contact type at least. I know we have a lot of fields when you're adding a contact manually. When you click this green button up here and you're adding a contact manually, you know, you see all of these fields and it gets a little overwhelming, and we're working on simplifying this, where we're going to have kind of the greatest hits at the top, and then you can always drop it down and see more information. But rather than getting bogged down in it, one of the fields that I do think everybody should be entering is contact type, which is your prospect, your client. This will change slightly, so if anyone's watching the replay and you're from a different company other than Beauty Counter, you might have different choices in here. So they do change per company. We try to get as close to the lingo that the companies use as possible. So this is the Beauty, I'm in a Beauty Counter test account right now. So you'll see Beauty Counter choices here. So this contact type, I would say, is the most important field for you to be populating. This will give you the ability to cut your list down and see people at a different level. So I know, at least since I have Beauty Counter people on the line right now, I'll just speak to that company. I know that so the idea is that your prospects, you're trying to get to become, obviously everybody wants everybody to become a team member, but you know, you're trying to take prospects to at least a client, and then a client to a member, and then a member to a team member. I mean, it'd be great if you could skip any of those steps, but that would be like if you were to step into it. So it's important for you to know, like, where do these people fit? You're going to be reaching out to people in different ways. Someone that just bought product from you would be a client. So this field, I would say, is the most important for you to be entering. The next one is really just this one. So pipeline position. Have you spoken to them? So if they're a prospect, I would say that you're going to put them in the not contacted pipeline position if you've never spoken with them about buying product from you or joining you in business. And then you have these next 4: contacted, needs follow-up, all info sent, and followed up. So these 4 are various stages of following up with people. So that is up to you where you want them to sit. If someone bought product from you, if they're a client, I would say that they're probably in the all info sent category, meaning they've tried product, they have, you've reached out to them, you've gotten them as far in the conversation as buying product from you, but they haven't signed up for, I think they call it Band of Beauty or your membership program. If they haven't signed up with you, so if you're from another company, like if they haven't, so they're a retail customer for you, but they're not a member customer. That would kind of be all info sent to me if you wanted to leave them in your pipeline, which I suggest that you do. So if someone was a client, I would say put them in all info sent. And what that's going to do is they're going to sit there until you move them into the next column, which would mean that they had signed up for the membership with you. So this is really where I would end it. You know, you put in a name. You put in a name, an email address, whatever contact info you have for them, and then you can just add the contact. I don't want anyone to get too overwhelmed in the beginning with trying to fill in all of this stuff. If it's not useful to you, then don't include it. We have all of these fields for you because we don't want you to not be able to put in information. But if you don't need it, then don't bother, like don't rack your brain trying to figure out where does this person fit in a group. You know, are they an acquaintance or are they a, you know, a family member? That doesn't really matter unless you feel you'll really use that particular field. So what I can do from here, you'll see I have clients, members, prospects, everybody's in here with their contact type. I can take this group and then I can cut this down and I can say, you know, show me all of my clients, and I can filter that list down. Excuse me. I need to refresh. I can filter my list down to just show me clients, just show me members, just show me prospects, all based on that contact type. There we go. So now I just have all of my clients. Now I can start reaching out to them and I can start trying to push them and segregate this group and say, what do I want to do with them? And we give you a lot of options here. So you can be reaching out to them manually. You can select all here. You can click bulk email. And then you could send them, if you had created a template or something like that here in the system, you could insert that template right in here, you know, whatever that template is. And then you could send it off. Maybe you make a template that's just to try to coax those clients over into the member column, promoting your membership and trying to work them over that way. That would be something that you could do. That would be a reason that I would have you work off of this page and keep that contact type group really groomed, really making sure that you're categorizing your contacts. Now, the other thing that you can do, so from here, if I were looking at a particular contact, so if you're reaching out to people individually, which the mass things like bulk emailing people is great, but it's also important to be reaching out individually and making phone calls or, trying to get people to join, maybe do a virtual event for you or do an at-home event for you. When you're reaching out to them, here you can log all of your reach outs. So I could click on this person. I could say, Alicia, where did I leave off with her? These are so I've sent her a campaign. I've sent her text messages. And now I'm going to reach out to her and I'm going to talk to her. Maybe I'm going to ask her to host a party for me. So I can keep track of all of that information here. And that's where the detail comes in. That's where the important detail is. So rather than getting bogged down in those different categories, keep really good notes on the conversations or the interactions that you have with your customers. What products did they love? All of that stuff. We do allow you to track that in here as well, from products. So I have these are the products that she's purchased from me. I don't know if I recommended anything to her. I can keep track of that here as well. And if she's expressed interest in anything but hasn't bought it, I can keep track of that here too. The other thing I can do is after I've reached out to her, I can say, I want to reach out to her again in 2 weeks. So I can click this button up here. And in 2 weeks, she's going to be added to my goal tracker page, to that first page. And I will just show you. So the idea behind that is in 2 weeks, when I log in, whenever you log into Hilo, you log in and you're on this goal tracker page. And the goal tracker page, the reason that we have this come up first is see all these scheduled badges, these purple badges. The scheduled badge is there. So I just scheduled Alicia to show up in here in 2 weeks. I scheduled her for follow-up in 2 weeks. So whenever I log in, if I see purple badges here, then I should stop. So I log into Hilo and I look, and if I see no scheduled, then it doesn't mean I don't follow up with people, but I know that I've caught up. Everybody I said I would follow up with or had made a mental note of following up with, they would be here. I'm done with that. But if I see purple badges, then I have all of these people that I'm supposed to reach out to, that I was supposed to follow up with. So this is meant to prevent people from falling through the cracks. We all reach out to people, we start a conversation, and then if you don't make a note of it properly, you will ultimately, something will fall through the cracks. At some point, you're going to forget about somebody that you should have reached out to, that you should have followed up with, and weeks or months will go by and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I never called her back, or I never wrote her again. And that's leaving money on the table. Nobody wants to do that. So what we've done here is we add them to this queue. And the reason for that is a queue form here. So if I add them to my calendar in my phone and I say, I want to reach out to Alicia in 2 weeks. So I put it on there for like May 3rd or whatever. When I put it up there on May 3rd, if I'm really busy on May 3rd and my day gets away from me and I'm super, super busy and I just didn't have time to reach out to her, then May 4th comes, she's no longer on my calendar unless I remembered to move her, which a lot of times we don't. And now I totally missed that follow-up. Now the days go by, I forget about that reminder on my calendar completely. And then it's a few weeks later before I remember that I didn't have time to reach out to her before. So we use the queue system because they're here. I always say that they're here on this list until you delete them or complete them. So if I heard that Uma was going through a rough time and it might not be the best time to reach out to her, then I can click this little trash can icon and I can get rid of her. I can take her off my list for whatever reason. It's not going to delete her from the system. It's just going to delete her from this queue. But then Blanche Dubois, I know that I'm going to reach out to her. I'm like, nope, I remember exactly why I'm reaching out to her. So I'm going to complete the reach out. I would click this little button here. This page is designed for you to quickly get through these reach outs. There's obviously other ways that you can work within the system, but here you can say, okay, I've got all of these reach outs to make, these follow-ups to make, and I can do it quickly and I can update all the information I need to quickly with this little menu here. So we tried to give you like a greatest hits here. So the complete the follow-up, if I wanted to update her, her lead temperature to warm, if I wanted to update her pipeline position, log the reach out that I had an in-person meeting with her, any comments that I wanted to make about that meeting, asked her to host us, maybe. I can also see what my last reach out was. So if I were preparing to reach out to Blanche, if I were preparing to follow up with her, I can say, like, I can hover over this little last reach out thing and it says sent message inviting her to coffee. So I see my last message to her and I can maybe get a little bit of, and what I suggest is when you're making your follow-ups and you're logging things in here, put a little note about what you want to follow up with her next time on. So you could say, like, we spoke about hostessing, reminder next time I want to bring up these 3 products or want to do a bag drop or whatever it is. But kind of prompting your next response to her, your next reach out. That would be how I would recommend you put your comments together. But it's totally up to you. You can just copy the text that you sent or copy the email you sent or whatever and paste it into these comments. If you send an email from the system, you don't have to go through this. It will automatically log it for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And then I can schedule the next follow-up right from here. So that's the idea, is that until they say yes or no, they're constantly in this stage of follow-up and being added to this queue again until you get them to an answer. So if I said, okay, so I didn't get to an answer this week with her, I'm going to try in another 2 weeks. I'm going to schedule this next follow-up and I'm going to complete the reach out. What that's doing then is it's moving my little graph here and telling me how close I am to hitting my goals. So setting goals are important, and we should all at least have an idea of what we're shooting for. Otherwise, these businesses can really you can feel very busy and not be productive at all. And you can also feel like you should be getting more out of the business, and it feels like you're doing a lot of work, but when you actually look at it, it's not the type of work that will make you money. So this keeps you honest. This will keep you, so if I set a goal, And you change your goals by clicking this little button up here in the right-hand column, in the right-hand corner. And it's based on reach out strategy. How many people do you want to be reaching out to each week? And it's a simple plan. There's nothing fancy here. It's not like putting in how much money you want to make at the end of the year, because there's really no way that anyone can calculate that for you. Everyone's comp plans are different. There'd be a lot more information that we would need other than like, I want to make $100,000. But one thing we do know is that it's a numbers game, and reach outs equal productivity. Like this is income producing activity. So you choose the plan that you want to go with. We have these 3 ready-made ones for you at the top. Keep the lights on, position for growth, and watch out world. And those are really just about like how hard do you want to run? How aggressively do you intend to grow your business? And the idea is that the blue one, that's as low as you really want to go if you're considering really working the business. That is a high maintenance plan. It is by no means like one where you should expect huge amounts of growth. But position for growth is a good strong plan, and watch out world is really, it's aggressive, which, I applaud you if you're going for it. And then we have the custom plan. So if you don't like any of the ones that we came up with, or they don't suit you for one reason or another, then you can choose custom plan, and you can customize it by typing in whatever numbers you want in each of these slots. And all that's going to do is that's going to dictate how many little slots I have open in each of these queues and how I'm going to fill them. I can click the Hilo My Week button at the top, and that's going to fill the queue for me. The reason that these are not filling over here on the left is because I don't have enough people in that I haven't spoken to about my business. So those are people in the not contacted pipeline position, go in the reach outs column. Everybody else goes in follow-ups, and then downline go in team reach outs. So what this would tell me when I have empty slots here and I have to go meet people, or I have to be adding people to my system to be prospecting and moving them forward. And it doesn't just mean growing your team, it's growing your business from a product standpoint too. Like, who are you reaching out to try to, are you creating a Facebook group and kind of, putting together a group of friends and trying to get that going? Keep track of that stuff in here. And those interactions, like even commenting on things at Facebook, if you want to log those as reach outs, that's viable. That is absolutely acceptable to do if you want to keep track of that, things that she said on Facebook and things that you've commented on and maybe had a conversation with her about. It doesn't have to necessarily be, I sent her a text message directly. It could be just interaction that somehow fits in with your business. So start thinking that way as well. And you can log all of that here. Those would be totally acceptable comments and reach out types. So you could say, Facebook post. So you could say reach out type is Facebook post, and you can say, commented, or you get into it here. Well, she commented on, one of my posts about, lipstick. And it can be, and you can get into it here, like what you went back with and where it left off, but you can keep a record of it. And then that way, the next time you go to reach out to Anna, then you're like, oh, right. That was where we had that conversation. How can I work that into the next thing that I'm going to say to her? How can that last conversation be sort of a doorway to the next? And then remind yourself to follow up with her again. Maybe you do that one in a shorter period. Maybe you're like, I'm going to reach out to her in 3 or 4 days because it wasn't a direct conversation. It was, we were commenting on a Facebook post. Maybe I'll reach out to her in 2 or 3 days. And that's up to you. But this is a way this is where you can start seeing this number tick up. So any activity that you're making about your business, logging it here helps you to see how much work you're doing and is it working for you. So when you sit down at the end of the month and you see what your paycheck is, and you're either happy or sad about that, You can then go back and look at all of the work that you put in, that you've been logging in Hilo, and you can say, what have I been doing? Because when you see what you've been doing, you can see if there's something maybe wrong with that process, or you can sit down with your direct or your mentor and whoever enrolled you in business, and you can say, look, this is what I've been doing. I reached out to this many people. I've reached out to this many new people. I reached out to this many. I followed up with this many people. I talked to these members of my team. This is what I've been doing. It's still not coming together for me. What can I do? What am I doing wrong? You can at least start to develop a strategy that way if you know what you're doing. It's very difficult to do if you're like, well, yeah, I reach out. I don't know. I send some emails or I do this. It's so wishy-washy. It's very difficult to diagnose a problem when you don't know what the symptoms are, when you don't know what you're actually doing. If you go to the doctor, you can't really show up at the doctor and say like, I just don't feel well. They want to hear like, well, tell me exactly what is bothering you. And then they can kind of get to the problem, or they can at least find the general area that they can start to treat. So that's something that I would definitely, I definitely hope you get comfortable using these pages. I think that they are the two most useful and easiest to use as well. And if by some chance you're on here and you're like, you know what, I'm making my reach outs, but I don't really need this list. So this is really the Hilo My Week function is really just the system will randomly choose people to add to these queues for you. That's just so you don't have to do it yourself. There are a lot of people, you sit down on Monday or you sit down at the beginning of the week or whenever it is you're starting, and looking at your list of who you should be reaching out to can sometimes be daunting. The reason we have this page is so we could take that part out of it for you, and you don't have to think about who you're reaching out to, or you don't have to be afraid to reach out to that person. I was saying this on last week's call. Everybody has a chicken list. Everybody has a person that every time they look at their list, they go, no, maybe I'll reach out to them next time. Maybe I'll get to her next week. And I have done that. I did that so many times. And there were always people I was really close with too, which was ironic. And was like, why am I afraid to talk to her about this one thing? And a lot of a big part of this business is getting over that hurdle and just being really comfortable talking with people about it because you feel passionately about it. And this is a great exercise for it. So let the system choose for you, and then make a little bet with yourself and a little promise to yourself that no matter who it chooses, I'm going to reach out to them. I'm not going to back off and delete anyone from the list because I'm scared. So, so that is a brief overview. I'm going to stop there and just sort of take the pulse and see how you guys are. Do you want to see any more? Is there anything that I covered you want to see more of? There's something else that you've seen in the system that you've gone into a little bit deeper? How's everybody on the phone feeling?
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
So when we create our Beauty Counter newsletter, we're just basically taking what they've already created for us and putting it in. Mm-hmm. Is there, and I'd have to pull it up. I'm just looking at your screen only. Is it easy to insert a little note of our own above that?
Okay. Yeah, it should be. Okay. You would want it in every, well, we can do one. So.
Okay. I just haven't messed with that since last month when I sent it out. So, and that's the only time I've done it. So
it's funny because no one ever does. It's like everybody watches that video once a month. Mm-hmm. They're like, how do I do that again? Yeah. And I'll tell you, and it's always the same thing too. It's always I forgot to hit source code first. That's always the step everybody skips. So let me see, what can I insert here? So I can take, well, let's just cheat, and we'll go. These are all Stacy's. So I'm going to view this template, And so what Gina was talking about was how do I create a template from, I know, from like a third party newsletter company. So every template will have a source code associated with it. So let's do this. Okay. So if I were to have a template set up from one of those third parties, they send you a URL link and you can link to it, and you can paste that link in here. You can create that within Hilo, so you can send it directly from here and have it tracked with all of your contacts. There's benefit to doing it that way. So from here, this isn't a great one. Let me just log into. Sorry, I don't have a template to pull up right away. I'll just go through this, how we add them. And then it's really just a matter of tabbing down and putting your message above it.
Okay.
So from email, here we go. So I could take a template, and any template that I had. So if I had it from my template company, they send me my URL, and this is, when I click the URL, this is what I see. So this is the template that I have. So when you guys get that sent to you, open up the template, and then you're gonna right click on the template and it says show page source here. So if you click that, then you're gonna get, you'll get this web inspector. So you'll get all the code. All you're gonna do is select all and copy. And then from here, I'm gonna give my template a name, newsletter. And I decide whether I want it to be personal or shared. And then we have two choices for email templates in here. We have this WYSIWYG editor, which means what you see is what you get editor. And then there's this bottom thing here, the email template builder. That's probably what most of you have used. If you're building templates, I suggest use the template builder. But for this, we use the WYSIWYG editor. So from here, now I've copied my source code, and now there's this little funny icon here, and it says, if you hover over it, it says source. If you click that, you click in the body and then paste the source code. Now if I uncheck it, now I'll see that's gonna recreate that whole template right up here. What I can do from here, I believe, is, yeah, you can just start tabbing down, and then you can add a little note, Gina, above the top. So you can say, you know, just wanted to drop this note. So you can type it in up here. You can change your, you know, you can change your fonts and all of your format if you wanted to make it kind of a heading. You can use the editor up here just like you would, and then leave the rest of it alone. Okay. That will change the template overall. So if you sent it to everyone, then everybody will get that note at the top. So if you saved it down that way, you would have to change it back if you wanted to send it just as the newsletter again.
Okay. That's very simple. Thank you.
Yeah. Save the template down, and then it's always there for you to use. So, and there's a video on YouTube just on how to send a template, how to create a template from a third party like newsletter company. there's a video that I walk you through that process on YouTube. So like Gina was saying, every month, you don't do it, you haven't done it since the month before, so everybody forgets how to do it, which is no big deal. It's like a 3-minute video. I tried to make it really short. Any other questions, thoughts, anything you wanted to see?
I have one question about the newsletter. And can you take pieces of it out?
Well, you can edit anything you want in a template that you create. So here I can edit the template. What did you want to take out?
Well, I receive a newsletter and then I send it to my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe there's a piece of it that I don't want to send to my clients.
Sure.
Gina, do you create your own newsletter every month? Well, anyway.
I think Gina gets it sent from the service, right?
Mm-hmm. And so I just didn't know whether you were able to modify any of it.
You can, once the template...
Should I be able to, once it's in...
Once the template is in our system, then, so if I didn't like this paragraph, then I could come right in and change whatever I wanted to it.
Okay.
I don't like this paragraph. So I can change that to whatever I want. Some of the other things that would be more difficult, I think you'd have to leave the colors and stuff like that the same. Just, you're not going to have as much flexibility as you would like in our builder if you had created it from scratch here. Like,
right.
I don't think I can change the color of, like, the fact that this button is purple. I don't think I have much say over.
Right.
Unless you're super fancy and you want to code it and find it here in the... That way you could do it, but I'm guessing that that's probably, it's not something I'm spending much time on either. But but that would be the only way I think that you could change anything to that degree. Same thing with images. You could certainly take an image out and you can put one back in. It might not. I can't guarantee that it'll fit exactly like you would want.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like there's just,
yeah, and I'll have to just play with it, I guess.
So here, like, you could say, you get a general feel for the width and the height of it. You can play with that here. So you could click OK and be like, no, I want that to be bigger. You can 50, try that. No, it looks like it needs to. So you can play with it that way. There's definitely going to be some finagling on your part. It's not going to do it for you. So if you're changing anything like that, but text changes, yeah, you can absolutely change text, no problem. Is that, anyone else have a question? Is there anything else I can go over? All set. I know we have some time left. One thing I was going to do, what I had planned, and you guys can tell me if this is too much. One of the things I had planned was I was going to build a template, actually. I was going to build a template using our email template builder. And if that interests you guys, I can go through that. I was just going to make a really simple thank you template for someone joining my membership. If you guys are interested in that, I can show you that.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. Yeah, so what's great about creating templates in this system is these are things you can use over and over and over again. So, and that's the name of the game, right? When you're reaching out a lot, it's the more you can automate, the easier your life is going to be, and you're going to be better at your follow-up. You're going to be better at reaching out to people because you're not reinventing the wheel every time you're reaching out to somebody. So I'm going to call this a thank you template. And the best thing about this is too, like, templates can be used as standalone emails. You can send it to one person. You can use them in bulk emails, but you can also use these in campaigns. And I'll go over, I was going to do the template this week, and then next week I'll do, we'll make up a campaign. So the thank you template, I'll call this thank you. I'm going to say it's personal right now. I always think that that's a good idea. So one of the things, just for some of you who are new, Hilo, we also give you the ability to connect with your team. So if you have a downline, connect with people on your team, your downline, and share information with them. So I'm going to create this template, and I'm going to call this personal for now, because I'm just getting started with it, and I don't want anyone using it before I'm done. But once I'm finished with it, so we're going to finish this template in just a couple of minutes. And then when I'm happy with it, I can just come in here, reopen the template, click shared here, click this button shared. And then what that's going to do is that's going to put it into everyone on my downline will then have a copy of it. And they'll be able to use it, make a copy of it if they want to make changes to it and make it their own, or they can just start sending it right away, because I'm going to create it in a dynamic form where they don't have to make changes to it unless they don't like something about it. So, so the last one that we did, we just used the WYSIWYG editor. We're going to use the email template builder now. So this is our drag and drop builder. And what you do is you click this gray bar and then just click this button, and that'll open up the builder for us. And here we are, or almost, here we are. So when you get started with the template, you have all of these blocks on the side. You have this menu here on the left. We have the blocks. Then you have the center one. If you click this, it's content, which we don't have anything in there yet, so you'll see this menu change in a second. And then we have style. So there's this little sub menu here, all for this menu bar on the left. Now, for the blocks, basically this is your layouts. These are the layouts that you can choose from. You know, if anybody was on like the yearbook club in high school or in college or something, you know, where you sat there and you were like, we want pictures at the top and then we want some text. This is where, you know, you're getting like or if you were on like you worked on your school newspaper or something like that. If you ever laid anything out like that, this is really similar to that. What you would do is you come over here and you'd say, okay, what do I want for my first, how do I want the top of my template to look? And pretty much all of my templates, I really like this one for the top, the banner image, and then some text underneath, and then a button. And now, don't think that and we can customize this a little bit, and I'll show you that. So from here, so this is a good start. Now, if I'm happy with this, then I can just leave it and move on to my next block and start building the rest of my template. But then I can also come here and say content, or if I click this first and then click content, then I see I have all of these choices here. So I could say like, I want this to look just like this. I love the image. I want to keep the title. I want to keep the text, but I don't need a button right here. So I'm going to click this little lever, and that's going to remove the button. So now I don't have to have that button there. I don't have to worry about it. And if I wanted to get rid of the image for some reason, maybe I change my mind later on and say, you know what, that image is not what I want up there. I can click that off, but I'm going to leave it. Or if I wanted to get rid of that title, I can get rid of that title. So I can customize the blocks a little bit once they're in as well. And then I can also change and mess around with the style and the colors and the fonts and stuff, but I'll get to that in a second. So on the blocks area, now I'm going to add another block. Now, what I can do here, this is a thank you template. So this isn't really, this is just going to be to say thank you to customers who bought product from me. I just want to be able to easily send them a thank you email. I don't want to have to write it every single time someone joins. I don't want to have to go through that, because that means that it's not going to go out as soon as it should. I want it to go out, like I want to be able to just log in, say, send this off, and it be done in 3 seconds. So that's what we're doing here. So there's not a lot of information in the email. It's just a courtesy. And now I'm going to just put this down here for my signature block. So you can drag them over. The other thing I can do if I wanted to add a title, or if I wanted another, if I were making like a product template, then these blocks are really good, the ones with the 3 images or the 2 images, but we're making a simple one right now. If I wanted to add these, I could add it also by clicking this button here. And then if I wanted to get rid of it, I can just trash it, or I can move them up and down. So I could say I want this to go down to the bottom, or I want to copy it if I wanted to make if I wanted to duplicate the exact same thing. or I can get rid of it. I'm not gonna really use that, so I'm gonna get rid of that one. This is my general layout that I want. It's gonna get longer when I start adding my text. So let me get started. Now I wanna add my image. So up here, there's gallery. If I click on that, I can see if I have any images in my gallery, and I don't. I just have that one weird cache image that I threw in there before when I was making that test image. So to add the images in, I can click this little area up here, click or drag files here. I can click that. That's going to bring down my whole mess of files in here. I do have, believe it or not, one in here. Sorry, it's embarrassing showing how messy all of my files are. A lot of downloads. And here it is. You didn't think I'd find it that quickly, did you? With all that mess, but I did. So I like to just kind of get all of my images in here. So the other thing I'm going to do is this is going to be my signature. So I actually do have folders for this one. I can find my signature photo, and I'll just get that in there. So everything's in the gallery where I need it. So if you were doing this with product images, bringing all of your products in always helps make things go faster. So, so now that I have my images in, now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull them in and make my template start to look like something. So now I'm gonna take my thank you image and I'm gonna drag it over here. If I hover over the area that I wanna drop it in, unclick, and then there it goes. The system will, within reason, make this look okay for you and make it stretch to the size that the image placeholder is. That's just to say that landscape images, so this is a landscape. If I put a portrait image in here, this would look weird. So just, understand that. And then if I were to put something that was more like this is a square, so try to just crop things so that they're the general shape of the blocks that you're using. That's just one tip that I have. So now it's starting to look like a template. So I put my images in and that's ready to go. Now from here, what I can do is I can start to put my text in, and I have some text prepared so I don't have to, you don't have to see me slowly type. But I can come in here and paste. And now that added some weird line breaks in here. I'll just get rid of those. So that looks pretty good. And so this does double space. One little tip here is if you want single spaces, so like I have Cheers and Nicole, I didn't want that to be double spaced. Hold down Shift and hit the Enter key if you want a single space. Just hit Enter if you're okay with it being double spaced. So if I hit Enter, so if I were here and I just hit Enter, it drops it down double spaced. If I hold Shift down and Enter, that's going to drop it down right below. So that's just one thing I'll point out there. So now I have my text in here. The other thing I can do, so now what I have is I have hi, and if I wanted to personalize this, so if I were sending this out through Hilo, I can personalize this template. So it says, hi, Jenny, when I'm sending it to Jenny. And it says, hi, Tara, when I send it to Tara. I can personalize this using our replacement tags. So up here, we have this little button that says replacement tags. If I click that, then I get all of these choices. And you get these funny little tag looking things over here on the left. And then it says replaces with, and then whatever it is. So what I'm looking for is contact's first name, because I wanted to say hi, and then I want the contact's first name that I'm sending it to. And that's right here, contact's first name. And I will just copy this little tag here on the left, copy it, go to the point in my text that I want to add it, paste it. And what that'll do is then whenever I'm sending this via email, that will replace the name. Having said that, if you plan on sending these out and sending this through text or through Facebook Messenger or something that we don't send through Hilo, where you would copy a URL link and link out to it, I would leave these replacement tags out. So one of the things I suggest is creating a email version and a web version if you plan on using it for both. The email version would have these tags in it and the web version would not. And that's just so, because if you were to send a link to someone with this template, it would say hi and then they would see this tag. But if you send it through email, it's going to insert the name. The thing is that the system won't know who you're sending a link to. There's no way to tie it together, so it won't know how to replace those tags. So just wanted to point that out. So now I've added that contact first name in there. So now it's going to personalize that for me because this is going to be an email template. And then I had put here to remind myself in these brackets, use email address. So what I'm saying is I'm telling my customer, this is how you log into your account with your email address and your password is, so maybe I have just like a general password that I give to all of my customers. To log into your account, please use email address. I could say your email address, or I could put a replacement tag in here for their email address. So I can say replacement tags, and then I can say contact's email ID, which is contact email. So I could copy this tag. Oop, I didn't get all of it. Excuse me. I can take this contacts tag, copy it, and then I can paste it right in here. If I can highlight. So now I've pasted that contact email in there. Now it's going to replace it with the contact's email address. So now my body is done. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the way that looks. Now I want to deal with my signature. Now this is what I mean about when you share this with your team. So if you have a downline and you plan on sharing this template, if I weren't going to share this and I had no intention to ever share it, then I can just type my name in here and be done. But if I plan on sharing it with people, I'd want to use these tags again, because then when Jenny on my team sends out her template, then it would say Jenny Smith and her information. The only thing I would do is if I would not include a photo. I would get rid of this. I would do this differently down here. If I were making this a shared template, because the picture would be the same. I would get rid of this. I would find a block. I would just use a text block. And then I would put in all of this information, these tags here. So I would do, so I had already set up what the tags would be before the call, so I didn't have to copy and paste all of them while you guys were on the line. But this would be kind of a signature block. If I wanted to put these closer together, I could do that here. So now your first name, your last name, your email address, and your phone number. So what this is going to do is this is going to say Nicole, Leno, my email address, and my phone number. And then if Gina were on my team and she were sending this out, it would say Gina Piper, and then her email address and her phone number. Now, the other thing I can do is I can add another block at the bottom. Now that since I got rid of the fancier block that had the button in it, if I did want a button at the bottom and I wanted it to say, visit my website. So I could say, visit my website, and now I can put in a link to my website. This is where that content part comes in. So I'm clicked on this button block, and I can put a link to my website in here. So my website is Hilo. So I can come in here and I can just copy this part of the URL. I always suggest copying and pasting URLs rather than typing them in, just so you don't make any mistakes, because you don't want your links to break. And in this link line, I click paste. What that's going to do is that's going to activate that button. Now when they receive this email and they want to click, they can click this button. It's going to take them right to Hilo. Now, if I wanted to start to play around maybe with some of the style, oh, let me get rid of, you know what, I'm gonna lose this title here because I have the high contact first name. I'm not gonna put a title to this, or I could if I want to. Maybe I will. I'll just say thank you. So now my email is done, my template is done. Now I just want to make it look a little bit better. I can click this little button up here so I can go up to this submenu style and I can start playing around with it. So I could say maybe the background color, I like that this is white, but I want to change this gray maybe to something a little fancier. Maybe I want just this light purple just to brighten it up. This is where I can really customize it. If you wanted to get super fancy and none of the colors that you see here are making you happy, then you can Google something like HTML color codes. And you can go to any of these sites that, I mean, there's tons of them, and you can just choose one that you like. When you go to one of these pages, you can find a color. And, you know, if you were looking for like a nice yellow or something. So now you see these codes here, what has the pound sign and then FFF391. I can go back here and I can type that in here, FFF391. And then it's yellow. So if you don't like the color choices, you can customize beyond just what's here in the menus. Those are just much faster if you can just click on it and choose. I'm gonna go back to my purple. That looked a little nicer, or maybe this blue up here. And then I can change the color of my title here. So I can say, you know, maybe I want it to, maybe I'm going with like the blue theme of the beach, and I'll go with sort of this like turquoisey color. And then my button, I can change the color of my button as well. So I'm just gonna select the button block, and then I can change the button color to this, and then I can change the text color to white. So now this is sort of, so that's just a very quick way to show you how you can build a template in here. What I would say is just remember to save it. Click the little save button up there. And after this, just need to reload. And the other thing you can do, so there's this little live preview. This will just show you what it looks like in mobile. So this will be what, if someone were looking on their phone, you can see like the little preview over here. So especially if you have a really long template or lots of photos, you can at least see what it would look like on someone's phone over here. You can turn that preview off too if you don't want to see it, if it's distracting to you, but I always like to sort of check it out and just see if anything looks funny. And a little sanity check there. Any questions? No? That all seem clear?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think that's I'll use that a lot.
Good. Yeah, it saves a lot of time. And like I said, next week's call, I'll show you how you can take the templates that you build and you can use them to start putting together campaigns, which campaigns are a series of emails to go out. So like a thank you, we'll do a thank you campaign and a new client campaign where you get a thank you email as your first one. And then you might have like, so on day one, they get this thank you email. Then 8 days later, they get a different email from you. And I'll show you how that all gets set up. But the idea is that you could then, instead of when someone signs up and buys product from you, you send them this email and then you set a reminder to yourself to send them another email in 8 days. You could actually have that all scheduled out in the system and the system will send them for you automatically. So we'll get into that next week. That'll be fun.
Nice.
Any other questions? Any comments? Is there anything else I can cover for you guys?
I don't think so. I mostly just need to use it.
Okay, well, this call happens every week. I alternate them on Tuesdays and Wednesdays so that we didn't have just where it was people, or if it was every Wednesday and they're like, I can never do Wednesdays. So I tried to move them around. They are on the Facebook pages, but there's also, I'm going to be circulating a link for everyone where there'll be a posted schedule of what all the days are. So join this call. You can bring whatever questions that you have, and I will cover them, and I'll answer everybody's questions, and we'll hang out and jam away at them until everyone's feeling more comfortable. So always use this forum.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys
you.
so much for joining. Thank you for being so engaged and for your questions and for giving Hilo a try. I really, really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I thank you. And please let us know if you have any questions. We also have this feedback link up here under my account. We have the feedback link. That'll bring you to a ticket where you can enter a new ticket, and our team will get on that right away. And then the other thing is, if you have questions and I'm not available or we're not getting back to you quick enough, you need to just quickly check something. Our FAQs now links out to a knowledge base, which we're adding to all the time. So you can start, like if you had a question about email templates, you can start typing in email templates, and then all of the articles that have been put up there, they're step-by-step. You'll see they've got screenshots and all of that stuff. And then if there's a video that applies to it, that'll also be posted at the bottom from our YouTube page. So thank you guys so much. You have a wonderful rest of your week, and I hope to see you next time.
Thanks,
you.
Nicole.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Yep.